What's up, guys? MMA Game here, bringing you another video. This video is going to be a brand new series, and it's going to be called How to Use Each Fighter. I'm going to go through as many fighters as I can. Probably going to touch on some of the more underused fighters, and then basically use them in a bunch of fights. Feature some of these highlights and stuff in the video, and also talk about how to use this fighter and also how I use him. And then at the very end, I'm gonna actually give my final verdict on whether or not if you do use him, what you should do and stuff like that. So this episode, we are gonna be going over Michael Johnson coming off a huge knockout victory over Dustin Poirier with those amazingly quick hands. And so it prompted me to want to use him, test him out, test all of his moves. And so I'm going to bring you guys, some action with him. But unfortunately, he is not very good as far as my playstyle in this game. But for starters, if you take a look at his stats, nothing really that great that stands out. He's got some decent stamina and some pretty good ground stats. If you're a ground fighter, definitely you can look at him. But if you're more of the striker, pressure fighter, unfortunately, he's not really a great option. But all of his perks are tailored toward the ground game and stuff like that. So he doesn't have a lot of perks that help him with the stand-up, and as well as the stats as well. His just overall his power on pretty much everything isn't very high. But first, we're gonna go over some of his pros, and then we'll go over the cons. Some of his pros that I've noticed is he is very good on top if you are a good ground fighter. He has good movement as far as like his bouncing and stuff in between, and you can actually use that is in the overall strategy. If you're going to use him, you are going to need to do some of that bouncing and that movement. If you don't know how to do that, it's basically you move the left stick back and forth, and you sort of hit it back and forth, and it gets this little bounce going like that while you're moving. So you really want to be able to use that. One of his other pros is actually he has pretty decent stamina for the lightweight division. But the thing about that is if you're playing ranked, and this series is basically tailored toward competitive player, using him in ranked, his stamina isn't going to be that much better, because usually you're going to be going up against like Nate Diaz and some of the really, really heavy hitters in the lightweight division. So his stamina isn't that big of a pro, but it is a decent pro. And the other pro is he has this pretty sweet throw from when he has double underhooks. When actually the other player has both underhooks on you, you can actually throw them over your head. And I don't know if very many fighters have that, but that's a pro in my book. And then it gets to the cons, and this is where he really starts to show that he's not that great of a fighter in the game. Now, in real life, I think he is just killing people right now and doing great. But in the game, again, very low power on his strikes, and also his speed is actually pretty slow. I would like to see him have fluidity, at least in the perks. He does not even have that, so it's a little bit tough to get some combos put together. He's not very fast at all, and just not the best range. So again, you're going to be going up against Nate Diaz, you're going to be going up against Connor, RDA, guys like this. It's just very tough to stand up with them. The other thing is he has very good ground stats, but in my experience, he's not that good off his back. And the one thing that is very, very bad with him is he does not have the stand-up transition from mount bottom. So that is just deadly, and I got finished quite a few times while using him. The other thing is he has no lead head kick, just that normal lead head kick. Now, he does actually have a special lead head kick, which is actually that switch kick, which moves on to his key moves. I'll go over some of his key moves. Does not have very many key moves in the stand-up. Very basic move set. Now, he does have that switch kick to the head. A couple other things. He has two level 3 single leg takedowns, so that is going to be one of your best things to use if you are going to use him, is going to be to use that single leg takedown. He's got some cool submissions. He's got the Americana from the crucifix, as well as the north-south choke, which is kind of rare. He's also got the one from Sprawl and some other decent submissions, but nothing too crazy. His submission stats are decent though for offense, but what I've found with defense is I don't know what about him, but just overall him being on bottom, I actually got submitted a couple times, and it's kind of rare for me to get submitted, but with him, people were able to submit me, and that's just the way it rolls. Another key move he has is actually that huge German suplex from the back, level 2, and as well as, again, that awesome throw from double overhooks, actually, I guess you would say. But when the other person has the double underhooks on you, it's like that reverse throw. So that is basically the breakdown on Michael Johnson. Now, I played a bunch of fights with him. I probably played close to 6 or 7 fights with him in a row, and my overall verdict on here is that he is unusable in ranked, at least for me, mainly because I'll basically tell you how you need to use him in order to win. Basically, what you need to do with Michael Johnson if you want to win in this game is you have to be extremely patient in the stand-up. You have to bounce around, use your movement, make your opponent miss. And basically, the whole overall strategy with Michael Johnson is you're really not going to win a fight very fast unless you just completely dominate when I'm on the ground. But unless you get kind of lucky, from my experience, it is very tough to finish people early. So the whole overall strategy with Michael Johnson is to get them into the last round, basically the 3rd round or the 2nd round, with a substantial stamina advantage. That way you can start to unload on the strikes and actually start to get some damage done in the stand-up. But, you know, if you try to push the pace and be aggressive with Michael Johnson, it's really not going to work out. At least it didn't for me, because you end up just wasting a lot of your stamina. You don't have much power in your strikes anyway. What I would suggest doing is use that bounce, make them miss, go for takedowns, go for the clinch. His clinch is actually probably one of his better things. He has some great throws. He also has some good top game. So if you can get them in the clinch, and if you're good in the clinch, also if you're good on top and you like the grappling, maybe also a little bit of submissions, then this is going to be a guy that you can try. Now, I'm not going to say you're going to get wins with him, because again, you're going to be going up against Conor McGregor, guys like this. But if you're that type of player, you enjoy the clinch, you enjoy the grapple, top game, then this is going to be your guy. Try to get their stamina low, pick your shots in the stand-up, get them to that last round or so, and you know, start to unload. But I will say the one thing that is so hard with him, you have to stay to a very strict game plan if you are going to use him. If you start unloading, or if you get a little bit risky with him, you're going to get dropped, and you're going to get dropped pretty easy. So it's just very risky to go off. You have to be very good at defense and very patient in the stand-up to use him, and you have to be a very good grappler in order to actually get a win with him here. So that's my basic overall verdict. Unfortunately for Michael Johnson, this first episode, he is going to be labeled as unusable, basically, unless, you know, you really want to work that grappling. But for me, my style is just, you know, an aggressive forward style. And, man, I just couldn't get anything going with him. For the next episode, I will choose the fighter based on the comments that people leave down below. So if you guys know any hidden gems, or you want me to show how I would use a fighter after playing with him multiple times, make sure to leave that down in the comments, and I will check those and use those. But that's pretty much the video, guys. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to kick that like button. Also, follow me on Twitch TV and Twitter. Till next time, this has been MMA Game.